Hi everyone. Again, for those of you who are watching the recording, my name is Emanuel Petrescu, founder, creator of How About Some Marketing, the marketing hub that helps you step up your marketing game. We have a newsletter, we have these webinars, and more surprises will be revealed by the end of the year. Before anything else, if you are not subscribed yet, go to howaboutsmarketing.com and subscribe to the newsletter. That's also the newsletter that you want to be subscribed to. It's bi-weekly and it's my best content yet. Also follow us on social media, like, share, subscribe, comment, and so forth. That being said, we'll start getting into today's business. But before I'll introduce you to tonight's guest, team, and speaker, I'd like our friend and partner Joachim to tell us a couple of words about who he is and what does he do.
Yeah, thanks, Emmanuel. Thanks for having me. I'm Joachim Koch, founder and CEO of Aspiration Marketing, a reasonably full-service digital marketing agency with resources in Canada, in the US, and in Romania. And what we've been doing in the past, and some of our key focus areas, is growth management. How do we help companies grow? How do we instill the capabilities, helping you grow, attracting more people to the website, increasing your pipeline, increasing the revenue, growing the business. That's what we're after, a core team of about 14. As Jay-Z said, here to learn something, where I can sprinkle some pixie dust, happy to do that as well. Again, thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Now, before thank you so much, Joachim. Now, it's my pleasure and privilege to introduce JD Thomas. JD is a voraciously curious person. Always, I'm reading from a script right now. Always looking to find answers and connections that help advance individuals and society. From how we got to here to how do we get there, JD's insatiable quest to discover and share is a driving force in life. As a business and communication advisor, JD utilizes a combination of proven methods and new solutions to help others in their quest to improve themselves and the world around them, whether individually or in their business. JD leverages his experience with entrepreneurs, small to medium-sized business owners, and Fortune 500 companies to provide guidance and tools that help business owners of all sizes reach their full potential. From communication to business and leadership, JD is looking to help move society to a place where people flourish and maximize their possibilities. Now, this was an official script, but since I had the opportunity to interact with each and every one of my guests, I'd like to say a couple of words myself. There's a saying, it's attributed to Isaac Newton. Not sure if it's true, but the saying goes something like, if I seen far is because I've stood on the shoulders of the giant. You have met a couple of these giants in the previous sessions, but right now you have the opportunity to meet JD, one of the other giants who have influenced and helped me and coached me and been patiently enough to support me in all my activities. I'm so happy he said yes and agreed to do tonight's session, which is about branding, vision, mission, and values, which is not limited to business owners. It can be applied in outside of the scope of the business, family, relationship with others, inside your in the working space with your colleagues, and so forth. So without further ado, I'll pass along the virtual microphone to JD to let you take it away.
Well, thank you, Manuel, and thank you for having me here, because this is a privilege. Emmanuel, if you're not following him already, make sure you're following, because Emmanuel is a very giving, very caring, very empathetic person who wants to help people grow and is always interested from his time with Toastmasters, from his business. His interest really is in people, and I have gotten way more from him than he may actually understand, because he really does help bridge understanding with people. So that's one of the things we share. And thank you. So my name is JD Thomas, and as you may know, if you know me, I am first and foremost a curious person. I learned a long time ago that when I try to define myself by my business talents or my background or whatever it is, it really comes down to the fact that the basis of it is that I am curious about everything, and the people around me get sometimes tired of hearing the new things I've learned, because I'm always trying to learn new things, from physics to astronomy to biology, history, especially history. It's all fascinating to me, and I use that information because history especially, it tells us how we got to here, but it also shows where we're going. And business is a trend line, and more than anything else, it's more than metrics. It is trend line. And so what we're going to talk about today is mission, vision, and values. And while we use the framework of business, this works for people too, individuals. If you understand your personal vision, mission, and values, and what you bring to the world, then you are more capable of delivering on that, and more capable of having those goals that you want to set in your life and attaining them, but also allowing for others to get on board, because we as humans want connection. We want that personal connection to things. This is why people tend to gravitate to something like Apple. They just released a new iPhone, and still 15 iterations later, there's still lineups of people around the corner because they want the new one, because they attach themselves to that brand. And if you look at the vision of Apple, and we'll talk about that in the presentation, they really do set themselves up. Steve Jobs set himself up decades ago, that set up the idea of what it is that they were trying to accomplish in the world, and the products that they sold happened to work towards that. It wasn't about setting up, here's a new phone, here's a new computer, here's a new whatever. It was, we want to challenge the status quo. We want to provide opportunities for the regular person to do things beyond the ordinary into the extraordinary. And when you have a vision about what you want in life, it's very powerful. And it doesn't have to be your vision. Not everybody has to be the ultimate creator. Not everybody has to be the visionary that leads you to the promised land. You can buy into someone else's ideals. We do all the time. A lot of people, including myself, are inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King, where he had a dream, and that was his dream was his vision. And we follow that. And it's important that we have those people who lead us, and have those who have a new vision of what we can do. And this is where you can follow someone else's vision or work off of that vision for your own ideal in your own part of the world. And that is as true as having a new vision of your own. So we hear a lot, and there's a lot made of people who talk about visionary communication, visionary leadership, and you got to create your new path, and you got to create it. It doesn't have to be. And if you identify a vision that is important, or a mission on how you're going to get things done in the world, then it's going to be far more effective, and you're going to get far more people who are going to buy into that. If you've ever heard of Simon Sinek, he's a thought leader and talks about the fact that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And success comes when you change the way you communicate what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So I'm going to get into the presentation here, and yes, we're going to hit you with a whole bunch of slides, but it's to illustrate to you how to utilize a vision, mission, and values in creating your business and or your personal brand, and how do you use that to effectively make challenge and get things out into the world?
I should probably mention at the beginning that I actually have my notepad next to me here, and I'm taking notes, and I already filled up a couple of good lines. So I suggest to everyone who's watching and listening to us to do the same. I'll mute myself now.
Oh, thank you. And hello, out of Montreal. Oh, okay, yeah, Montreal. Great to see you here. And by the way, hello to Roxana from Mississauga and Delia from Toronto. So glad to see you out here. And thank you for if you're in here in the chat, putting your name and where you're from. I love seeing that because I try to make an experience for people. I want to make sure that if you're just getting on here, I want to make sure that you get out of this all that you can. And if there's questions that you have, please ask them. Chances are I'm going to answer something in that the questions. People who watch are always in tune. They always understand what's coming next. And typically people will ask the question that's going to be answered next. But ask, because I want to make sure that you get this. It's not about me speaking. It's about you getting information. So let's get into this here. So just as a little brief introduction and further through what Emmanuel had provided. My name is JD Thomas. I'm a business and communication advisor with Jade Strategic Relations. I am, of course, a Toastmaster, and I'm very proud of it. Almost 14 years now. And I'm a multi-potentialite, which is someone who has interests or is curious about multiple things, a lot of different aspects to life. And I'm always looking for answers to things. I'm always curious about how things got here. One of my favorite things is etymology. Where did it come from? And if you really want to get the most out of Google, then use synonyms. The synonym for whatever, define whatever word it is, and my brain just left me. Etymology, ETYMOL. Geez, I'm messing it up now because I'm a little shaken up on this. But etymology is the background, the history of things. So use those parts. And by the way, there's lots to Google. There's far more than people. There's Google Scholar. Check out Google Scholar if you're looking to look up backgrounds on anything, especially when it comes to data sets on something that you're interested in. So let's get into this. So what is a brand? Because branding is a big thing. People talk about it a lot. People think they know what it is, and most people do. But to understand it, to utilize it effectively, you need to define it appropriately. And so Jeff Bezos has a great quote. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And it is, you can say, here's my brand, one of the things I got into public relations and branding for was because I saw people saying, I'm rebranding. And I know it's a term that means, updating your logo and whatnot, but remember that those are brand elements. Your logo, your color, the colors, the fonts, those are brand elements. That's not your brand. Your brand is the idea of who you are and what it is to do business with you. It is actually the public's belief in who you are as a business and what it is like to do business with you. It's a contract. It's a contract with the rest of the world. And this is individual as well. It is what you're putting out there as far as what people should understand about you. And putting it out there isn't enough. There's a lot more to a brand than just saying, hey, here's who I am, or here's my logo. What defines your brand is anything you put into the public. So this is, your website, your social media posts, your flyers, emails, networking, anything that you do initially to get people to notice you. That's how you get your brand into the public. So what you say is the lead off. It's also about other people who represent you. So if you have a business, if you have even your friends that speak on your behalf, or if it is, your current employees or former employees, because your former employees will say things about you, and what they say goes towards what people will expect about you. It is also your business partners, suppliers, and businesses that you will engage in to represent you, especially now, as if you're small to medium-sized business and you're still doing your own social media posts and you're trying to figure out what can I get off of my plate, you're probably going to turn to a social media company. And you want to make sure that they know who you are. They want to make sure that they know what your mission, vision, and values are. You want to train your employees on this because you want them to represent you as who you want to be, because they are the first line often before anyone even talks to you, before anyone does a transaction with you. And having them represent you appropriately is very important. And it also includes customers. Your current customers and past customers are the ones who are going to help put that brand out there. They're going to help establish what you are to the world. And so be sure to think of that. It's also bad actors. This is something I want to make sure that people understand. Bad actors are people who are going to try to submarine who you are. They may be former clients or customers who didn't have a good experience, and it could have been you did everything right that you could have, but they just expected something else. This is why level setting and having a proper expectations are important when you're creating your brand. But there are also people, maybe your competition, people who are going to provide bad reviews, people who are going to talk crap about you in the background, and those are people who are affecting your brand, because anybody who exposes the different ideal of what you represent to the world is essentially helping to change what your brand is. So keep that in mind when you think about, there's always going to be negativity coming to you, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but how you manage that negativity is also going to speak to your brand. Brand development is very important. I talk about, and we'll get into a second, about the fact that the branding is important in the 3 steps of development, promotion, and protection. And there's so many factors that once you put things out into the world, how do you control it? How do you manage it? It's the ultimate. If there's the former head of the Rotman School of Business, Roger L. Martin, talks about strategy versus planning. And it's very important to understand that people drop strategic planning, and there are 2 different things. A strategy is it's things that you don't control. It is the idea, it's the public's perception. It's you say, I'm going to create a strategy of here's the field I'm playing on, and here's how I'm going to try to win on it. And it's very much in line with when we talk about Simon Sinek and leadership and what it is to play the infinite game. You're going to put yourself out there, and here's who I want to be, and here's who I'm going to try to, how I'm going to try to make it. Planning is more about managing resources that you control. You want to gain more staff. You want to, you want to create a new, have a new location. You want to build a new factory. Those are things you can plan, but strategy is what you put out there, and your brand is essentially your strategy. So by defining, promoting, and defending your brand appropriately and creating that, thinking about your brand in that entire sphere, you're going to be far more effective at creating and cultivating that brand and having people understand who it is and what you are and what you do. And of course, big surprise to the meeting here, that it starts with your mission, vision, and values. Now, your vision, mission, and values, and I put vision first because it starts with that, but your vision, mission, and values are your company's DNA. And I'm going to do a little bit of little bit of reading here, but I want you to know this is from the National Human Genome. And when you think about what I say, what it means by your brand is your DNA, your mission, vision, values. DNA contains the instructions needed for an organism to develop, survive, and reproduce. To carry out these functions, DNA sequences must be converted into messages that can be used to produce proteins, which are the complex molecules that do most of the work in our bodies. And if you think about your values, your mission, and your vision, this is what you live. You create these things because your life is, as a business, or even if this is your personal ones, this is what you live by. As a business, when you have that vision, you create instructions on how to try to get that to be accomplished. It is the functions that you do to make that vision come true. And so your mission, vision, your values, it really is your DNA. Everything you are works off of this. When you are in that harmony of having your effect, having your vision of what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish in the world, it could be something small, it could be, but it could also be something very big. But whatever it is, that's what your goals are, trying to accomplish that and try to get to there. So we talked about the brand life cycle. You develop it, you promote it, and you protect it. It is what you do as far as what your brand is. And you need to think about all of these aspects of it as a business, as a person, as an individual representing a different brand. It's important. So your strategy of having these a vision, mission, and values allows you to have a message that you're going to promote. There's products and services that you want to put out there. That's marketing. Public relations is about getting people to understand who you are and what you're about. And it is of vital importance to understand that all these things that you're going to do is about messaging. It's about, and messaging, not just when people get in the door, but also how you treat them when they're in your door. And once they leave, how do you respect that? How do you work with that? And so it gives you a different way to promote. You can say one day, you can say, hey, I've got this product here. If you've got a problem and you've got this issue, then I've got a solution for you. And you can say that this other thing will help this part of your life. But then there's also the other part of it and saying, hey, my goal in my life is to get further ahead and to help this cause get further ahead. It lets the public know who you are. The hardest thing, especially for now in this deluge of mass media and public relations and social media, is that there's just so many people trying to promote and do things out there that you get lost. So people, when they get in touch with you and they understand who you are and what you're trying to do, they're going to stop. The challenge is how do you get people to stop scrolling? And I talk about this in terms of being on a street corner and trying to get people's attention. Used to be in the old days before we had the internet, you would have someone stand in the corner and say, hey, if you're interested in, mattress sale over here, come. And what you said was what was going to attract people. It's the same thing today. It is about how you get your message. How do you get people to stop scrolling past and be intentionally looking at you? It gives a set of guidelines for those who are going to engage and work for you. So if you have a brick and mortar store and there's people at the front line, first thing that Starbucks employees learn is their mission, vision, and values. They learn what's expected of them to carry that out. And when you go into a Starbucks, no matter where they are delivering on that brand. If you hear about a viral video of a barista, yelling back at a customer, no one ever says, "Oh, that mermaid, that little green mermaid thing, that's in trouble." No, the brand is not that logo. It's what people are saying about it. It's that experience that people are expecting. And when you have it set up properly, it prevents against negative publicity. As someone who does crisis management, I work a lot with businesses who have trouble, and it's almost always nowadays because of something on social media. Somebody was put out a post that didn't mean it. And it could be just as simple as, I have a friend who has a coffee roasting company, and someone doing their social media had put up a post talking about dark roast being more caffeinated, which is not. And he's a sommelier of coffee, and it trains people, teaches people about coffee. It's his passion. And so those who know him and know what that means and know that that's not exactly true. And so it looked bad that there was this post by him saying something that wasn't true. And so that was it's just a little faux pas, but it sets them back. And then it gets worse from there. And social media is the biggest Achilles heel when it comes to putting something out there that can cause damage to your brand. So by having it set up and having a good vision, mission, and value set up ahead of time, when something goes wrong, you can say, hey, look, that goes against our vision, mission, and values. That goes against our brand. And we're going to fix it and make it right. If you have to create that on the fly, if you haven't already got it in place, and then it takes a lot more work to have to come up with it, say, hey, we've got a new mission values, and we're going to make sure this doesn't go forward. It's a whole lot harder to move forward from there. So it helps in the protection of that brand. When someone complains, when those bad actors are out there, it's difficult to reverse engineer the solution if you don't already have this in place. And I think, is this slide number 7? I lost track.
Yes, I think it is. Actually, I've put something in it. I thought you had it, but no worries. This is our cue for our commercial break, which includes, by the way, thank you so much. I'll let you, JD, catch your breath for 30 seconds. This is the time I need to announce and promote next month's webinar. So, rule of thumb, every last Thursday of each month, 7 p.m. EST, don't book anything because there's a How About Some Marketing webinar happening. And next month's webinar will be hosted by me, but we'll have a special guest, our very own supporter, Joachim Koch. And I'll let Joachim introduce the next webinar.
And I really want to make it brief and not steal away time from JD here. But this is about content marketing as one form of driving growth for a business. Title is Content Marketing: How to Make It Work and How to Generate Leads. So we'll get some more materials out before, but it's some of the bread and butter activities we do from an agency perspective, where we see long-term results, not any smoke and mirror. It's hard, but it's ultimately it's another way also. And JD, feel free to comment on it. I'd be curious to hear your view there as well. Getting the right content out and getting and that's not just text, and telling the story of your company is a key component of establishing a brand.
Absolutely. It's when you're trying to put it, especially, they work hand in hand. The content should be in relation to your vision, your mission, what your values, what you're trying to do. That's if you have that already drawn up, then it's so much easier to come up with content. And content is king because there's so many people putting stuff out there. And what people really want, no matter which generation, and I talk about Gen Z right up through baby boomers. Gen Alpha actually is the 12 and under. That's the everybody understands things and wants something. And when you're putting information out in marketing with it, then it is absolutely imperative to have something that's going to be quality, that's going to resonate with somebody. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. You're brilliant. I've seen some of what you've put out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Thursday, October 26th, 7 p.m. EST. You'll find the registration link at howaboutsommarketing.com. By now, it's your favorite website. I believe it's true. But also for those who are present here, I've dropped the link in the chat. Make sure you reserve your spot, get the front row seats, and never miss any of our webinars. With that being said, I'm going to mute myself again. And JD, if you want to share your screen and continue with your excellent presentation, I already filled out a couple of pages of my notebook.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And so we'll pick things up. So what is your vision, mission, and values? So we'll define each of these statements. And actually, before we do this, I'm going to stop really quickly, and I'm going to freak everybody out here, because what I want to know is, are there any questions at this point? If you have any questions at this moment, please put them in the chat. I'd like to find out.
So far, no questions.
All right. I do want to make sure, again, that if you have questions about how to use these things, what it means to you, this is what we're here for. So I want to make sure that you get as much as you can out of this. And so when you put your questions in, I'll check in after the next slide if you have any questions. So we're going to continue sharing here. All right, can everyone see that?
Yes, we can.
Perfect, thank you. So first we're going to talk about the vision statement. And I start with the vision because it is the big, bold ideal that you want to start with. And I say big, bold, it doesn't have to be world changing. It doesn't have to be, want to create a new revolution on something. It can be just as simple as, trying to make changes within an industry in a world. It is your vision of the world when you have achieved your goals. And I say world here, and I've put that in quotes and changed the font, the color, so that you can see world could be a community. It could be a community, local, physical. It could be a community, online community. It could be something that you have an idea of how things are going to change. You want to change the characteristics of the online gaming world. You want to change. You have a vision of how things can be more effective in the world of hairstyling. There's a lot of different things that in there that you can do with this vision. It doesn't have to be this, the next visionary thing. It just has to have an idea of what you want to do in this world. What does life look like when what you do is done? And it is aspiration. Well, it's hopefully that you can never achieve it, but it is that high level that it may never be achieved, which is great because then you always have something to work for. Or maybe it is something, maybe your vision is an end to cancer, and so but that may not just be cancer. Maybe it is autoimmune disease in total, because there's always this bigger thing that you can always go for. So whatever these milestones are, that's your vision. And you want to, again, it's what you're trying to fix, what you want to change, you want to affect in the world. And it should be realistic. It's not, have humans living, all humans living on Mars. Maybe it is that. I'm not gonna criticize you for that. But having it realistic allows for you to be able to create targets that get you to that vision. And the pursuit of a vision that someone else created, like I said, with Dr. Martin Luther King, it's viable, it's good, it's a great vision. And it could be to continue that ideal and as Dr. Martin Luther King says, where we see black children, white children holding hands in hand, it is that level. It can be that level of things. Trying to extend the vision is, especially because other people understand it and get to know it. I'm very influenced by that speech, not just because of what he says, but how he says it. And I work with people in communications, and the nuances and how he utilizes the language and his cadences is very effective to me. So I go back to that one often because it is a beautiful message. It is absolutely incredible, but also how he delivers it. But that's for another podcast. Maybe we can have that another time. So what we're going to talk about now is your mission. And the mission is essentially what you do to achieve the vision. You've got your vision, which is your strategy. I want this world to look like this, and I want to work to make this. Now, this becomes your plan. The products and services and activities that you use to create that vision, to make that happen. And it allows you that framework of your mission, their vision and the mission, those two together, it allows that through line for people to understand what it is that you're trying to do. When I work with businesses that have, they have this product or service that they're trying to sell or deliver to people, and then they bring in something else, and whatever something else is, it could be something that you do. And we'll talk on a personal level here for a second too, because if you are interested in sports and you decide, okay, I'm going to play another sport, you look at Bo Jackson, for the sports fans out there. Bo Jackson, played baseball, then he played football, and he played all these different sports, but he was a sports guy. So it made it simple. And businesses all the time, they'll have these different things. Something new will come up and something new in their industry, or maybe there's something new that interests them. And having an understanding of what that vision is will let people understand whether that makes sense or not. It'll let you know if it makes sense. If you are trying to cure tuberculosis, then trying to sell Bitcoin doesn't make any sense to that vision. And that creates this disparity in people's heads. They go, wait, what? And so that's where you'll understand that if you have a good vision and mission set up, anything new that comes to you will fit into that. So it's very important for your business expansion and you as a person. So it helps with the people understanding who you are and what you're about. And your values. Your values are the ethos of your company. It's the things that you care about. It is your principles. It is what helps drive decision making. And you want to make sure that that it makes sense to what you're trying to do, but also not too vague and too overdone. I say it should be actionable. It should be verb. There should be a few verbs in there. And your values, if you have to say honesty, you have problems already. So never use honesty. Never use. That's just it raises flags. But also, people say, I want to be of value. Well, what does that mean? You want to be of value. Like, I want to enrich people's lives through experiences that set them in a place that they've never had before. You can have it in actionable verbs, using verbs in your values. Say, okay, maybe it's diversity. We value diversity. Well, you look around the room and you've got some diversity in your establishment, in your business, but maybe there's more room. Maybe you can bring in more people. So diversity is it's not necessarily a verb, but it can be a verb in terms of allowing you to have some actions that go towards it. So the vision, mission, and values, when you look at it, it comes this statement, more than a statement, becomes who you are and what you're trying to accomplish in the world, as I said. But as you go through this, you can actually understand a little bit more about why these are important to create an effective brand. Now, when you create these effectively, how do you utilize them? And we're going to talk about how to build those statements. It's not going very, very long, but it will teach you about or help you understand how these work. But when do you use the mission, vision, values? It's every day in everything that you do. On your websites and social media, all your vision, mission, value, your about statement about who you are, what you're trying to do, that should be in every different medium that you have. It should be harmonized. I see a lot of businesses where there's something that says in there who they are and their about page on their Facebook, and then it's different in their LinkedIn, or it's different in their Instagram or their X, or whatever it might be. And if you're watching this from years from now, X used to be Twitter, and I don't know what it is actually now when you're watching this. Follow Elon Musk for more information. But look into it's what you put out there. You want to make sure that it's when people search for you and people find you, that it's common in all those places. It's on your website. It's everywhere. You want to train your employees with it. First thing you do when you have a new employee, or if you're a current company, and this is another thing I want to say, that if you are a business and you have started and you already have a vision, mission, values, and maybe you want to evaluate, and you're looking at it going, things have changed. I want to make sure it's updated. That is very important. That's more towards rebranding than changing your logo. And it can be true because you started a business 10 years ago and the environment that you're in changed. Could have been COVID. Maybe it was something else. But you want to make sure that when you write it and it's there, that everybody who's your employees for day one, here's what we're about. Here's what we want the world to know. When you come in, when the client comes in, you represent this. And keep that in mind. And you want to you can put it on the door as you come in, put it in boardrooms. I think I actually say that a bit. But also when you're hiring a firm to do outside things for you, especially social media companies. And I say social media marketing companies rather than PR companies, because PR is different than social media marketing. But you want to make sure that they know what you represent, because it's very easy for them, if they don't know your industry, they don't know who you are, it'll be very easy for them to do something incorrect, and that goes against your values. But when you deliver that, you want to make sure that they represent you well. Your virtual assistants, you get big as a company. As you start getting bigger, you want to get more people taking things off of your plate. And that's a great way to start. Again, on the entrance of your building, as on the lead on your website, you want to make sure that people know and get you. Every boardroom where decisions are made, I say every boardroom because in a lot of companies and a lot of people, it's not necessarily you have boardrooms, but anywhere you're making a decision, anywhere that you might falter on this, where your pressures of I need to make money or I need to do more, I need to make sure that this is there. Make sure that you have these statements available to you until it's ingrained in everything that you work with. So any questions yet on this before we get going?
Yes, we do have a question. Before moving to the question, I put a statement from Harley Davidson. They have a nice example of what you just said. More than building machines, we stand for the timeless pursuit of adventure, freedom for the soul. Now that's
Yes.
the mission.
The logo does represent that to people. The logo is important to your brand, but you look, people tattoo Harley Davidson on their bodies. They have trucks which aren't made by Harley Davidson, but there's a Harley Davidson. I can't remember which truck it is. That it represents something to people, so they follow that. Even people don't have Harley Davidsons themselves, they get that idea. It's that idea that you just read there. That's important, and when you build it up to that, people get it. And wouldn't we all love to have that reputation that Harley Davidson has? Not just the reputation in the words of it, but in the idea that's out there and the magnetism that it has. And so that's very, very vibrant, very important to have something like that. So yeah, I absolutely agree.
And the question was anonymously, how do you recommend aligning a brand's mission and values with its public relation and marketing strategies for a consistent brand image?
But that's it. The public relations is about relating to the public. It's right in the words, and people, it's become kind of a moniker that people forget that it is. Those words are exactly that. It is creating that persona within the public. So when you have the vision and mission and values, you lead with that. One great example of that is WestJet. When you look at the commercials during Christmas, and they're well known for their Christmas commercials. If you're not familiar with them, WestJet, please go check them out on YouTube. Their Christmas commercials are all about, there's a bunch of people in a waiting for their flight, and Santa comes in and brings them. It's not about where their destination, where they're going, or flying people precisely. It's about the environment that they have, that they create this experience for people. And that's what it is about, that brand. If you want a great example of that, start with Why. It's a great book from Simon Sinek, and it talks about the fact that it's on public relations, but it absolutely is. When you're trying to establish yourself beyond just if you just tell somebody, here's one thing that I do. Do you want to buy it? You could get some people who are interested in that. But when you get people to understand what you want to do in the world, people they'll buy into that, and that is repeatable. That is what gets people out there. If your promotions as a business, let's say you want to make sure that you have your something regular on different products and services that you deliver from the framework of how it helps people. Again, it's not about you doing it; it's about people getting it. So framework from the people, but every so often you should have something that promotes you as a business, as the business itself, and your vision of what you want to do in the world. Testimonials are a great way of talking about you as a business. I got a whole nother thing on testimonials. We can talk about that because there's a great way of how to do it and how not to. But it is about not selling. Using your vision, mission, values is not about your brand, about your products and services. It's about your brand and what you want the world to know about you. And what you want to do is people will call into that brand. They will try to help you with that vision. And so, try to get it out there, especially your vision. Your vision is that big, bold statement that people do want to hear. I talk to people all the time about my vision, mission, and values, and they think it's this business statement, and it's not. It's a human statement. It's what connects people to you. I'm very passionate about this. It used to be that marketing was you started with this. When you started a company, you started with this and you went forward. And it's changed from that because we've lost a lot of that that through line. But it's very important to get it back and start with that, because that's where things get genuine to the world. And authenticity and genuineness is very important to people. Whether they'll classify it as that or not. Some people use those terms a lot, and it seems very shallow and to some people's ears, but it really is important to a lot of people.
Thank you, JD. We do have another question if you want to answer it now, or
yeah, sure. Let's go. I love this.
So another anonymous question. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on how to keep a brand's message clear and simple, especially with so much noise out there.
But this is it. Defining it is the first most important thing. And yeah, there's a lot of people out there putting content out there. And if the content is important to have content, but if you have a YouTube channel and you posting something every day, a tip on something or something that people can use and something information about your company, over a period of time, that should spell that out. You should always understand what the goal is from each one of those. And so having those in line to be able to use it effectively, that's when you can become genuine. That's when people get to know you. People might see a post once and then they don't necessarily subscribe, or maybe they don't click like. But then when they see it another time and they go, okay, this is similar to last time, but it's new. And then that goes on, and then you become unavoidable, because then what happens is social media is about that. Social media is all about finding about who you are as a person and what your interests are, and positioning in front of you that. And that's why when you pay for boosting a post or an ad, it really becomes more effective, because then you're tapping into what people are providing them willingly. And when you work harmoniously with that, it becomes easier for people to understand you. They'll get you. The people who are hard to follow, who aren't doing well, are people who don't have that consistency. And having the setup from the beginning is going to make you, just doing this alone you'll see it in your results, and you'll see it in the return.
Funny that you mentioned sharing a tip, one tip daily on social media, because I have a challenge. I did this before, but for the month of October, I'll challenge myself to create a 1-minute tip video type of thing on how about the marketing channel daily. So if you're not following yet, howaboutsmarketing.com, over there, YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and so on. And I challenge you to do the same. Not you necessarily, JD, but why not JD and Joachim and whoever's watching this? Challenge yourself to create content. As somebody said, our mutual Joachim and I's friend Alex Formosi, you'll suck at the beginning. Everything you'll do will suck. Your first post will suck. Your first video will suck with your first PR release will suck. Your first everything will suck. But once you do them, you're getting better. That being said, we're close to the end, but we still have a couple of slides that we want to go through. So I'll let it.
We'll go through this fairly quickly, but again, this will all be available for people to watch the review later. So it starts with your when you're creating it, and this is we end off on this. So I left the how to create it for the end. So here we are. So your about statement. This is really about you for your website, and then this is where why this business, what you wanted to start, why this versus something else. I love musicians, artists. When you ask them, if you weren't doing this, what would you do? And they would say, nothing. I can't think of doing anything else. That is the most down to earth. That is the most raw. I couldn't do anything else. And so when you have that, there's a power in that. And I recommend that if you know musicians, just spend some time around them. You'll get that vibe from them, and it's very infectious. But what feels good about doing what you do? Why do you like doing this? What is it about this thing that drew you to this industry, this ideal? Who influenced you? Like where did you get your influences to start doing this? These are things that are important to people. So when they get to know you, they understand this in their about statement. When you're making these statements, and this is more meta than anything else on the others, but take your time, write things down, reflect on them, write it down, write point form, figure out what you want to say for your about statement, for your vision statement, mission, and values. Write them down, come back to it. Go back and read it again and say, oh, something 2 days later, that sounds a little different. I want to add this to it. Or ask people about it. Asking people about their opinions on it is very powerful because they'll tell you what they think of you. So your vision statement. What does the world look like when you've worked your way out of a job? You say when the world is this beautiful place, and it could for someone who does the hairstyling. It's your vision is what you do isn't you don't just cut hair. When someone has a great haircut, think about when you've had a great haircut. You feel cool, you feel great, you feel empowered, you feel good about yourself. You empower people. You give them that time where they actually they feel good about themselves. That's a very powerful thing. And your vision could be to make sure that people feel empowered every time they leave our business. That is a great vision statement. The world where the world is empowered through feeling, or the world feels better about themselves, one haircut at a time. That kind of thing works. It doesn't have to be unique, as I said. It could be someone else's ideal. And see, it doesn't have to be unique. And the second line just is not unique in itself. So there you go. If you look at Apple's original vision statement, it's man is the true creator of change in this world. As such, he should be above systems and structures and not subordinate to them. That has nothing to do with a Mac, has nothing to do with an iPhone. It is about giving people the ability to be free. When the iPhone came out, it came out against products, those phones that had apps on them that were provided by the companies the carriers. They put out a phone that said, you get to choose what you have on your phone. Android came after, whether you like Apple or not, whether you like the iPhone or not, they started the ability for people to choose and not be subordinate to the people that gave them that phone. So that was a great, powerful thing. The mission. How does your business work to make the plan happen? It should be the vision happen. It should be broad enough to add to, but not specific enough that you can't get more into your system, into your products and services. If you are, let's say, a hairdresser or hair stylist, selling hair products. Maybe it's estheticians, because again, it's a one part of helping people feel good about themselves. It makes, if your vision is I just cut hair and I want to make you a haircut, then you're stuck to that. But if your vision is to make people feel beautiful and good about themselves, then you're able to bring these other things in that allows for it. And don't make it too long. It should be a very quick, very succinct messaging. Sick Kids Hospital's mission is we will push the boundaries to enable discovery and enhance research and education to provide transformational and equitable patient and family-centered pediatric healthcare. A little bit long, but it really speaks to the fact that their mission is to provide healthcare to people through whatever they can, through different methodologies that allows them to become more effective in getting the vision accomplished. And your values, again, it's the principles. What are you bringing to the table? What is it that you want you care about? And having the opposite, what don't you like? When you look at what values people have, or different things that people exhibit that you don't like, that can help go into a value too. Understanding the things that turn you off can, because it's going to turn some other people off. And so working backwards from that and saying, okay, I don't want this to be, I never want this to happen in my business, is very powerful. And then you just turn that around to the positive. Always go with the positive. That's very important. Of course, what makes you unique versus your rivals or, in the world? Those things are very important. and make sure they're actionable. Make sure there's some parts in there that you can work off of. And if you're instructing someone in your business to, we come with empathy. You can say, be more empathetic. Then we want to be more empathetic to our clients. That's an actionable item, and that you can tell people, hey, we need to up this. The Navy SEALs, incredible. The code is based on a set of core values that are central to the SEAL ethos, including loyalty, honor, courage, discipline, respect, and excellence. These values are not just ideals or aspirations, but a way of life that SEALs are expected to live and uphold at all times. So very powerful statement, very, very important, because it is the SEALs, everything they do. You think about them just going off and SEAL Team 6 and they go and kill somebody or do something, save people. No, it's about this on an individual basis. Couple more tips and we'll close this up. Write down your thoughts and ideas. Don't make them perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect from the start. It's good, as Emmanuel said, they're not going to be great off the beginning, but you're going to develop them. You're going to edit them. You're going to make them work into a cohesive statement. Ask others if they agree with it. Maybe they have different ideas. Get some feedback on it. And myself, my business, that's what I do. I help people with the brand blueprint, and I can help you with that. But once you have it written down, think about reframing it. Does it come from the client's perspective? For this, instead of saying, "Hey, I can help you do with this," it's, "Hey, you will benefit from this." Or if you're looking for this, then I'm the person to help you. That's a good way of turning things around, the idea of changing that message. I know we're going a little over time. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I know there's probably a lot more questions, and I'll definitely answer any if we have time for it, but I'll definitely answer them if you send emails or have another way of communicating through Emmanuel. I want to make sure that this was effective and helpful for you so that you can go through and be more effective in your promotions and your marketing, because it's important for people to understand that this is the way to get there from here.
JD, I have a question. Where can people reach you? And if you want to put the last slide one more time, so they actually have time to write it down. Of course, you can go to howaboutsmarketing.com, your favorite website by now, and you'll find links over there. But I'll let you tell where people can find you, your email, your website.
Yeah, I'm JD Thomas at the longest email address ever.com. No, it's JD Thomas at jadestrategicrelations.com. And I respond. I get a lot of emails. I do work heavily, but I sleep between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., 6:30. So I'll answer any question. I'll answer questions, and I'm about giving information, and I'm about helping people. And it's most important to me that people learn from the things and benefit from the experience that I've had.
JD, thank you so much. I don't see we have any more questions, and we're actually on time. Thank you for everybody who said thank you for this. So we had great feedback, and I'm pretty sure many people will watch the recording as well. We're actually on time because we started the recording a little bit late, so it's less than an hour. Please, I encourage everyone to go to jadestrategicrelations.com and say hello to JD. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to him. And I won't be much of a marketer if I wouldn't do my job on promoting next month's webinar, which is on the 26th, but let me double check this. Yes, it's October 26th, 7 p.m. EST, and we'll have our dear friend Joachim, and supporter and part of this project, who will be talking about content marketing, how to make it work and generate leads. You know where to subscribe. I won't mention the website anymore. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone who attended, everyone who support us, and JD for accepting to do this presentation today. And why not get him in front of us to say yes, he'll be a guest some other time on these sessions that are happening on sessions.
It would be a pleasure.